while leads, but Carr is strong. He catches back up to him after having to fend off the 23. He's got a great run. He's going to look underneath. The 71 does not defend. They're going to go wheel to wheel into 3 and 4. Who is going to be able to get to the line first here? Down to the inside. He's going to get pinched. They're going to come together. They're going to come together. Is Tim Downey Jr. going to get this? He runs into him. Who is going to get to the finish first? It's Massey.
That is Deterk trying to go defensive. Wanmi says, all right, that's fine. I'm going to go to the outside. You see him taking the widest line into that corner possible, just keeping momentum up around the outside, not taking no for an answer, and by sheer force of will alone, that is Wanmi Costa up into the final podium position.
Off of turn 4, Valenteus looking for the launch. He gets it right up to the wall. He's got a good lot of speed. Is this enough speed, though? As they come to the line and getting ready to cross, he goes around the outside, but it's not enough. And it is going to be Togo Hisada taking the win. Vincent has got the bit between his teeth right now. He said enough of this back and forth and allowing him through. I want the spot back, and he's going to get to the inside. Down into Sayat. Can he complete the pass? Keeping up the momentum. Caven Norris is going to remain wheel-to-wheel down into Vert, but it's not really a too wide turn. They're going to make it one this time, and Norris gets it back around the outside. So this is the 48 car here off of turn 4. Watch this. Really has to catch it. Just trying. I bet he didn't lift that whole way. I think his foot was on the throttle the whole time.
Probably just a little bit too far back, trying to make that run up on Evan. Evan goes to cover the grass.
Espes blocked to the grass, side by side, 2 by 2 for the race win. Now nearly 3 wide. Hyde's taking a peek.
We've got a double here. They're going 2 wide and 2 wide. Oh, falling in. Oh no, we got contact. Cam Evan goes around. Oh, that's got to be rough. As
it's
we
not
have
over
the
yet.
local favorite going in, and Espes going for the lead, but Williams trying to get in there too. Where are we going to set up here? Coming into the final corner.
Williams trying to get the run on the left side, on the right side. Espes on the left side. A drag race. Williams takes the victory at Mount Panorama Circuit. Brandon Hawk in 3rd, Espes in 2nd.
A championship that has been plagued with drama and fraught with action leaves us with 3 rounds left and 2 wide-open championships. Spa presents a chance to return to normalcy after a spate of tight and punishing circuits. Still, one can't underestimate this Belgian classic if they hope to get a good result. Let's see who masters it as we get ready to watch round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Spa-Francorchamps has long been a driver and fan favorite. To understand why, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchemont have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Rétillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. As you can see, this place is well loved, but will it be loved by the drivers today is the question, Adam.
That's going to be an interesting question, Joe. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is a 4.35-mile, 7-kilometer, 19-turn circuit featuring 335 feet of elevation from its lowest point at Eau Rouge to its highest point at Malmedy, all taking place right at the beginning of the lap. From there, it's a careening drop down the backside of the course, known for its lack of banking and challenging steep turns. The Audis will struggle the most around here, as the descent leans heavily on their front tires, threatening to burn them off and reduce their pace over the 60 minutes we race here. The Nissans, on the other hand, will feel very at home here, with their only threat being the high curbs and the circuit's many unexpected bumps, with the most challenging sections being the bus stop chicane, La Source, and Brussels. Multiclass here is usually a fairly straightforward affair, with plenty of tarmac runoff for the Nissans if a miscommunication should happen. The point of most consternation tends to be through Pouin and through Stavelot, where the Nissans can lose nearly 5 seconds if they're trapped behind an Audi for that entire sector. We also see plenty of comings together at Blanchimont as well, and the Audis must turn in there or else they'll end up at the tire barrier on the outside of the track on a good day. So the Nissans must avoid a dive bomb into Blanchimont at all costs. We can expect a battle of tire wear for the Nissans and a draft train for the Audis today as the drivers tackle their endurance format here, Joe.
Indeed. And as we take a look at the points championship, as I mentioned, things have been getting interesting. It was a bad day for Hugh Haycox. So it looks like Fabian Jungbluth has gained on him a bit, down to 13 points once again. But Hugh has also been the one to beat on raw pace. Aitor, Sintez, Galindo, Ove Trengray, John Keefe rounding out the top 5, with Galindo being the former leader so far this season and hasn't really had good results in the past couple races. What about the GTOs?
Well, the GTOs, Nick McConnell took home another win, which puts him back up to the top of the standings. Jamie Himmelsmith tucked in right behind him in second place, where he's been for quite a while now. Hideki Koivisto jumps up a spot over Ben Laughter, as Ben did not show last week, and that has severely dropped him down. He's dropped 3 spots all the way back down to that 4th position. Then Marty Olay tucked in there in 5th position. But Joe, interesting stats here. Nick McConnell has the least amount of incidents this season, and Jamie Himmelsmith has run the most amount of miles this season, and both of them are 1-2.
With Hideki Koivisto, they're tied. So on top of that, it's seemed like it's going to be hard to break away for these drivers. But Mukanos has also been very quick when he does show up. We're waiting for drivers to get a time on the board. So in the meantime, here are the race details. It is round 10, as I mentioned. Now, today is an endurance format. They usually have 40-minute races in this series. This is a 60-minute event, which means they have one pit stop for fuel that both classes will need to make. And around a thirsty track like this, I don't think we'll see anybody try and stretch it all the way to the end. Open setup series, so hopefully they can find speed on the straights and in the corners around this very flowing track. They have no spare cars, so if you get any sort of damage, you're going to have to come into pit lane to get it repaired anyway. So maybe if you get it early, you're going to go for a reverse strategy there. There's your penalties, including a drive-through at 17 and disqualification at 25. Those could be a talking point, since it's so easy to rack them up here at Spa-Francorchamps. And I think we've got drivers out on track probably about halfway through their flying lap for the case of our Nissans. So let's see who can put a good one on the board. I'm kind of curious. Will the Audis even be able to make both laps here today, Adam?
It's close. I've seen some of them do it. They tend to be in the 230, 240 range, I think it is. So they should be able to get it done if they started right at the beginning of the session. And considering the fact that there's 2/3 of this race is Nissans with this massive grid we have here, it's going to be interesting. Matthias Hovdahl first to the top of the charts. Lars Olsen a second off of him.
Question is, what about Hugh Haycox? As looks like his first lap, it got deleted. One of the things that our drivers will have to worry about here is in that qualifying, if you don't get a clean one in, you've got to come back around and try again and leave that little bit of margin so that you don't go off track and have the time discounted. Looks like Niels Core up to the provisional pole. Ian Haycock's not doing too shabby on his first time. Currently just down by about 0.3 of a second.
And interestingly, Nick McConos just down off of Niels Core by about 0.6 of a second, so he's got a little bit to work up in that second lap, but he put in a good banker, so still tucked in there in 5th position for the Audis. So he's got some work to do, but he's got plenty of time to do it. He's got that second lap to go, as with 2-minute 20s, they should have plenty of time to finish this lap.
And Sintez Galindo seems to have had a problem. He abandons his second lap. I'm not sure what caused that, but the 9 is not going to be able to go higher than second out there. Here's Hugh Haycock's on your screen right now. And as he comes around, let's see if he can manage to get this one clean. He's past some of the more difficult spots, but up through Blanchimont now. Fast left-hander. Looks flat out to me for him there, and down into the braking of the bus stop. Last little zone. What's it going to be?
Here comes Hugh Haycock's through the bus stop. So challenging for these Nissans to get the power down. Coming out of the final corner. Can he set a good time? He's looking for a 158.3 to get pole. 158.306. It does count, and it's going to tuck him in behind Matthias Hovdal, who just set a 158 flat. So Hovdal on provisional pole. But Joe, do my eyes spy an anti-Lepisto?
I think you are correct. Wow. There is a familiar face we haven't seen in some time. And no surprise, he's rocking the number 1, but he has yet to set a lap time. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if he can get around in time for this second lap because he started a bit late. There you see the fin on your screen right now. Just over a minute left, and he's only out of Puhan.
And good news for Reed Miller is that on his first lap, he did tuck into that second position. So he's in a good spot in the Audis as well, with Niels Core still holding that provisional pole. Ian Haycock's jumping up to the second spot, besting Reed Miller. Ian Haycock was able to improve his time on the second time of asking. Marty Ollie jumping up to 5th, but then Ben Lafter jumping up to 4th position on his return to the course.
They are streaming across now as Gabbiani just took his second one but wasn't able to improve. Anti-Lepisto are still following him down into the bus stop. Just enough time left. So my drama, unfortunately, was a little bit overplayed. Thank goodness for fans of the number 1 car. But what is his time going to be? It looks like only good enough for the 8th place here. Wow.
Well, it's been a while since he's stepped foot in this series, and he's got a lot to contend with today. There are a ton of cars here today. We'll run you through the grid in a couple of seconds, but here we come, coming off the final corner for the 3 machine. Gonna come across the line, see what we can get done here.
Grau went to 9th with his second lap. And don't think there is anybody left. Yes, indeed. The grid is set here today. So let's go through our starting order. A lot of Nissans that failed to qualify, and we'll start from the back. Hovdal, though, will be on the point with Hugh Haycock to his outside. Aitor Sintez Galindo. Can he get back on the podium for the first time in a few races? He starts from 3rd. It'll be Laust Olsen in 4th and Togo Hisada in P5. Then Danny Aguilar in 6th. And the inside of the next row, Ove Trangrade, followed by Lepisto in 8th. Ferran Grau starts 9th. Krejcik is in 10th. The next slide has Gabbiani up at the top of it. Isaac Snyder, who's going to give us an onboard today, starts from 12th. It'll be Javier Mascara in 13th and Doug Cloud in P14. Then it's Pablo Suarez 15th, followed by Joseph Mudrack to his right-hand side. It'll be Jorge Fernandez starting in 17th, Stefan Leslie 18th, and Guillotero 19th. Last few to qualify was Mike Reuter, John Keefe, John Cope, and Kyle Graham. Then from there, my goodness, Campbell, Zuniga, Fonseca, Reed, Phillips, Exposito, Babel, Arribas, Miller, and Sepla will start from the back of the GTPs. Adam?
GTOs has a little bit more of a familiar field. They have Niels Kor leading the race on pole. They have Reed Miller tucked in second position. Then Andre Schumacher in third. Ian Haycock's lining up fourth. Ben Laughter dropped down to fifth there, but still decent qualifying for him. Franco Scurry in sixth position. Marty Ollie seventh. Hideki Koivisto's going to land next to him in eighth, with Nick Bakanos down in ninth position to start this race, with Jamie Hamill-Smith starting off in the 10th spot. Then we have Nahul Diaz Caviga, who's going to start off in the 11th position. Nejin Cameron starting off in 12th. Mark Ole going to start off at 13th, with Marty Novak 14th. Mika Tupula 15th. Andre Juteau in 16th, our last qualifier. Then we have Xavier Bora, Jack David Spickett, and Martin Sell rounding out your 19-car Audi field and your 52-car field for this Kamel race.
Whew. Well, at least they have the room to stretch their legs out at a track like this. That said, it's still going to be pretty packed out there. And on top of it, this is the endurance version. And you can see there is the weather with quite a bit of wind pouring through here in the Ardennes Mountains. So hopefully that won't knock too many drivers off track. But at endurance pits, I think Adam is going to play a part in how the pit stops play out, considering you really don't want an extra stop in your strategy.
Definitely not. You do not want an extra stop on your strategy, so it's going to be important to get as much fuel saving done as you can. So the draft is going to be important for both of these classes today, but it'll be more prominent in the Audis.
Coming out of the bus stop. Now, the pace car has pulled in, but because it is the endurance pits, they do not officially start until they cross the start-finish line after La Source on the downhill into Eau Rouge. So you'll see them continue to cruise along. Looks like Hovdal is going to make sure that everybody stays in position here. Sometimes we have seen people take off early here at the endurance format, but I like how they are staying nice and tidy. And now he's able to go. Hovdal is on, and as the green flag is out, Haycock's got caught sleeping. Here comes Sintez Galindo taking second place away as they go up through Eau Rouge for the first time today. Let's hope that we can get through there clean. Hugh Haycock's gets a great run, and only one car way off into the paved runoff, but I'm not seeing any incidents so far. What about the GTOs?
Clean start for the GTOs. Andre Schumacher tried to make a pass around the outside of Nils Kor through La Source, couldn't quite get it done, and so that allowed Reed Miller to tuck back through and into the field. Reed Miller goes off track. He's going to have a slowdown. He stays over to the left side of the track, while Andre Schumacher had a bad run through Radio, so that's going to allow Ian Haycock to come up behind him. It's a draft pack, a huge draft pack as they come down towards Lacombe.
Incredible stuff, and at the front of it, it looks like Kor is able to retain the lead. Schumacher fighting off Ian Haycock with Ben Laughter trying to stay with it. Laughter, who had a string of podiums recently, trying to get back up into those top three spots as he pokes his nose down to the inside of that green car there in the foreground, but swings a little bit wide. In fact, it's Haycock who goes deep mid-corner. Ben Laughter apologizing on the radio. Not sure if he made some
little bit of contact there. Yeah, contact between the two of them going into Brussels.
Down the hill into Pouhon now. And Kor is loving this. You can see how much of a gap he's pulled over the others. And Andre Schumacher still sitting in second place. Also not doing too bad, keeping himself at arm's length from Ian Haycock. But we're starting to get single file finally for our GTOs. And our GTPs have already finished the first lap.
Or closing up on finishing as they come through the bus stop chicane. Not a lot of action going on in the GTPs at the moment. They are mostly focused on staying clean, but Isaac Snyder goes around in the background. He's coming out of the final corner. Then there was contact between Mike Reuter and also William Campbell as well.
Looks like Snyder's able to get it going once again. I'm not sure if he did that on his own or if he had some help behind him side by side as Reuter takes the inside, but he can't get the power down as quickly. So here comes Campbell trying to carry that speed, almost banging doors as they come to a Rouge. Too wide through here, does not work, and Campbell wins that game of chicken.
That was really close between those drivers. That's actually going to slow down Suarez as he has to go up the rest of the Kamel straight right now with a lot less speed, probably about 10 miles an hour less. That's going to mean he's susceptible to passes, and there you can see the passes getting made. We're going to see a lot of drivers with some connection issues today. 52 drivers on Spa is a lot for most computers to handle.
Yeah, Reuter down into P20 because of that incident. Oh, as he sends it deep, trying to see if he can get back on Cope. But Cope will fend him off from the long way around there at Ravage down into No Name, and he's starting to form something of a train. Not just Reuter back there, Exposito and Reed are also tight in.
Very tight racing here in the GTPs. We're going to see that all day. It's going to be interesting when they get to the GTOs, though, with such a small GTO field compared to the GTPs. Even though this is one of our bigger GTO fields of the year, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to take him quite a few laps to get there. Just for reference, Matthias Hovdal is just now coming through Blanchimont as Ian Haycox and Niels Kor are coming through Brussels. But P4 for the GTPs, here's Laus Olsen right now fighting with Togo Hisata side by side as they go through Blanchimont.
Togo off of a second place at Long Beach earlier this morning, and he's looking for the brake marker down into the bus stop. Oh, but he gets tipped around. He's facing the wrong way, and unfortunately, he's right in the middle of the track. I think most are able to find their way past, but he has to sit and wait a long time and another spin. That's Cope getting turned around.
And Togo just gets absolutely clobbered, even though, and that's just because no one could see through Cope there. So unfortunately, Togo Hisata's gonna have to come to the pits, and so is John Cope.
And this is probably way too early for them to have a scheduled pit stop, so he's going to have to take that unfortunate extra run down the incredibly long pit lane. Reuter was the other one that had that contact there in the bus stop, as you see the 40 also continuing on.
In the GTOs, we got a battle for P2. Andre Schumacher's being pressured by Ben Lafter, Ian Haycox, and Nick McConnell, who's jumped up to 5th position right now. As we've had another wreck of the GTPs, Kyle Reed has wrecked coming up Radion.
Looks like he's at least got it going. I was going to say that's such a blind corner. I'd hate to see others accidentally pile into that, but you can see how beaten up that car is now. And in fact, he's pulling off the racing line, trying to stay out of everybody's way. Yeah. He's sending it back to the garage. Meanwhile, here at P2, as you mentioned before, Andre Schumacher ahead of Ben Lafter. These cars, known for their boxy form, are going to give a huge slipstream up the Kemmel Straight. So does Lafter take it? But with an endurance format, he could try and save fuel here today.
Yeah, so here we go with Niels Kor and Andre Schumacher. Andre Schumacher and Ben Lafter. Ben's going to try and make the move. He's going to try and make the move around the outside of Lacombe. Late braking for both of them. They're going to go to the corner. Ben decides to back out of it because he's not sure about where Andre's going to go there. So this allows for Ian Haycox to get into the battle. Nick McConnell's as well. Important to note, Niels Kor nearly 5 seconds up the road. I think it's hard pressed for Nick McConnell's to get his 6th win today.
Absolutely. And looking at it, it seems like Ben Lafter will certainly be one to watch out for, at least for the podium, if not for the overall victory, the way that he is trying to keep that 42 honest. Let's stick with this for now, but I can tell you that Hugh Haycox has been caught by Matthias Hovdal, and that is going to be a fascinating battle as well. Out of Pouhon. Oh, we do have to go over to Hovdal because he's got a good run on the number 2 of Hugh Haycox. Will he take it? Yes, he will. Shows his nose down to the inside, coming up to Lacombe, but he's not as good on the brakes, although he's going to stay side by side for part of the corner. Gets the good exit inside of Malmedy. Can he get it done here? No. Still fighting back. Hugh Haycox keeps him behind and will slam the door shut down into Ravage.
Great driving from Hugh, enough to give Matthias Hovdal the room on the inside and able to hang on to the position. So great driving for these two drivers as they're battling for the top step on the podium, 4 seconds ahead of Heitor Sentes Galindo.
Well, this one looks like, oh, and that was Hugh Haycox spinning right on screen as Matthias Hovdal makes a narrow avoidance and Hugh falls back to 3rd. Heitor Sentes Galindo getting a spot as well. A good catch, but Hugh Haycox proving he is not immune to mistakes.
Wow, yeah, that was a big moment there from those two drivers. He's now fallen behind Heitor Sentes Galindo, who's passed him at this point. So very unfortunate stuff for Hugh Haycox. Just the rear end came around on him as he clipped the inside curbing going into Pouhon, and that's actually caused a little bit of an issue for him. Unsettled the car just enough that downforce couldn't save him.
Well, now he's got to get back on it, and based on what we saw from Hovdal, it might be tough to catch back up just because his pace seems pretty evenly matched there with Hugh out of the bus stop. And again, the finish line is right there on the Grand Prix start-finish line. The what is, I guess, now considered more traditional for most cars, even though it wasn't the original start line. That was down through here where they started this race. He's got a good slipstream on Sintez Galindo. Could he maybe get one up the Kamel Straight?
So here we go, running down, here we come. It's going to be very tight for Hugh Haycox. It's very tight, actually, off of the exit of Radion as they go up the Kamel Straight. Hugh Haycox with a decent amount of overspeed, but I wonder whether Galindo's going to make the late move, or are they just going to tuck in? He's going to try and outbrake him a little bit. No, he gives in.
So Hugh Haycox back up to P2, but that gap up to Hovdal, 2.5 seconds already. And he's going to have to put his foot down for sure. Let's check back in that battle for P2 in the GTOs as well, because Andre Schumacher ahead of Ben Lafter is pulling along Ian Haycox and Nick Mukanos and Marty Ollie and Reed Miller. This goes all the way back to about Franco Scurry, who is down in, I believe, 9th place in those GTOs.
And Niels Kor, 7 seconds to the lead. He's gained 3 seconds on this lap alone, Joe. These drivers have nothing for Niels at this point, so it's very, very interesting. It's definitely a battle for second place, but they've got to make this move on Andre Schumacher, or they're saving fuel. I'm not sure which, but you can't make up 7 seconds on a fuel stop.
No, certainly not. Well, not unless you do something drastically different, which kind of takes me to Mukanos there, who is the 4th car you see in this little train, sitting 5th out in his class currently. But that number 10, do you think it's worth him trying to pit early if he feels like he can go faster than this group?
That's an interesting thought. I mean, we're only 10 minutes in, so it's not time to think about it yet, but that's definitely something that is worth considering. That being said, being without the draft has its own penalties, but let's see what happens here as we have a move from, I believe that's Ian Haycox trying to make a move on Ben Lafter to move one spot up in the pack.
He gets down to the inside of Lacombe, and it's an easy pass, just slotting back in ahead of Ben. Next up on his list, Andre Schumacher. So far, Ben's not been able to make that overtake stick on Schumacher. Can we see Ian do it for him? Down into Rivage, the train just continues to plunge through, and I have a feeling this is not going to go away unless we get a big wreck amongst them. That slipstream so powerful in the GTOs. Oh, and they got a GTP starting to interrupt.
Yeah, they do have a GTP starting to interrupt. They have a couple, actually. We got John Keefe, who's in amongst them right now. Then we have Gianluca Gabbiani, who's just come out of the pits. And actually, our leaders in the GTPs are just about to reach the back of the GTO pack. Matthias Hovdal starting to navigate his way through Jack David Spickett, Mitchum Cameron, and Mark Olay.
And that is potentially going to change the gap for the lead in the GTPs drastically, depending on who can get the luck and use their skill to try and weave their way past more quickly. Meanwhile, I asked whether or not Ian Haycox could do what Lafter could not, and he's getting very close to the rear wing of Andre Schumacher. They're going to get interrupted here. Gabbiani is now passing by 1. Is he going to get 2? Just barely, and just in time for Schumacher to get back to the racing line.
Yeah, that actually held up Ian a little bit, so now it's going to be up. Oh boy, it's going to be up Eau Rouge, and Radion, and Matthias Hovdal has caught the back of this pack, Joe. There he is coming out of the final corner with Hugh Haycox in tow, 7/10. This is going to get intense as we start heading up the hill.
And John Keefe is in the middle of them as well. He's that Marlboro liveried car that you see just behind Mukanos right now. What's he going to do in the midst of Eau Rouge, though? Oh, he's going to compromise poor Ian Haycox. Haycox way off of his line, and here comes Lafter. It has gone all awry for Ian Haycox. Ben sees it. It looks like Mukanos could maybe do something with it. He's going to get by, and Schumacher's laughing his way to the bank with a nice gap behind.
Hugh Haycox got held up significantly as well behind in Matthias Hovdahl. Now Matthias Hovdahl catching up to the back of this pack. Here he comes around the outside of Reed Miller, trying to catch up to Ian Haycox, who's frustrated, not really looking in his mirrors. Matthias gets covered off by Ian Haycox as he tries to dive it down the inside of Brussels.
He just manages to get by, and Hugh has cut it down to about half a second between them. Slicing and dicing, Matthias Hovdahl has the bit between his teeth here, but he's got to be careful. He does not want to wreck out the leaders in that GTO class, just getting by in time for Pouan.
Hugh Haycox really committing to the corner now as he cuts it to the inside. He is not afraid of what happened to him the last time around. He's now right back on the back of Hovdahl as they've cleared the GTO field. He needed to make that move, otherwise he'd lose 2 seconds at least to those drivers.
Oh, we need a replay on Sintez Galindo, who had a scary moment in front of Reed Miller. Almost spun the car right in front of that GTO, but I think he caught it just in time. Going to take a look at this one, and the 9 has got to probably change his pants after this one. Oh, there's the 22 having an issue. We want the 9 of Sintez Galindo. Here we go, flashing his lights.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The Audi may have rally heritage, but the GTP does not, and that Nissan was definitely taking a slide.
Whew. Oh, and almost some contact if we come back live between Schumacher and Laughter as he tried to get his nose in on P2 for the GTOs. Could not get by once more, but they are dropping Mucanos behind them as a plague of GTPs keep passing them by.
Bend to the inside of Andre Schumacher through Lasource. It's going to be side by side as they go towards Eau Rouge and Radion. And Andre still has the line. I think Ben's going to have to give this to him as they've got Ove Trangrade sneaking their way by. Danny Aguilar sneaks in between the two of them. That's going to hold up Ben Laughter. But look at this, Andre Schumacher off to the inside. This is Ben's best chance to pass yet.
It's paved on either side of Eau Rouge, and I think the Nissans are kind of taking advantage of that, but it's really scaring our GTOs out of the racing line and compromising their exit. Laughter wants to try and use that to his advantage, but he can't. Look at Schumacher on the brakes. They're going to come together, and Schumacher is off into the barriers.
Schumacher just took a little bit too much out of that one. Expected that Ben Laughter was going to give the corner to him. Ben said absolutely not. But now look at this GTP group that's trying to cut its way through. Last Olsen, Javier Mascara trying to cut through. Antti Lapiso's just made his way through. But man, this is really breaking up the Audi battle. But Nick McConnell's right onto the back of Ben Laughter to the tune of 3/10.
And Laughter got on the radio, apologized for the contact, which he is saying was a little bit of ghost contact. I think that's the case from what it looked like from my perspective as well. But regardless, the result is Schumacher was sent into the wall. Meanwhile, as they battled past that new P2 driver, that was Mascara and Olsen, trying to find their own bit of racetrack so that they can settle it themselves.
And Nick McConnell's under some heavy pressure from Ian Haycox tucked in behind him. Nick McConnell can close the gap on Ben Laughter, and right now they only have 2 more GTPs to deal with at the moment. That's Guillermo Diotero and Joseph Budrak, who are still cutting their way through.
Well, apparently I'm bad at estimation because Hugh Haycox has already caught back up to Hovdahl as well. And there you see the 3 leading the 2. It is now only 0.4 of a second between the pair of them as they come over the crest, and Hugh has a monster run. He's going to get the toe off of the 3 car, not covering off the inside. Hugh Haycox easily passed. Oh, but braking deep on it, Hovdahl comes back at him and denies him from almost fully behind in the braking zone. How did he come back from that?
That was one of the best defenses through Lacombe Malmedy I have ever seen. He just committed to that thing, hung it out on the downforce, and was able to stick it. What a move from Hovdahl. I'm not sure how long he can hold off Haycox, but my goodness, that was some of the best driving I've ever seen.
Wow. And it looks like, unfortunately, we have lost Schumacher. He has officially DNF'd and is out of the session. Sad to see what could have been a podium slip through his fingers. And right now, the top step of the podium and the prototype still being contested between these two. But look at how much Haycox has fallen back. I almost wonder if that kind of shocked him as well, that he didn't have that one done and dusted.
I mean, he was fully passed going into the braking zone, but by the time they turned in, Matthias Hobdahl was alongside, so Hugh Haycox owed him the room and gave it to him as best he possibly could. But he wasn't expecting it either. He was on the maximum of the turn that he could get in, but Hugh is just so quick in the straight line. He's already catching Matthias Hobdahl. And that's saying something, Joe, because Matthias Hobdahl tends to be a driver who's trimmed out.
And that's what amazes me. I would have thought that Hovdahl would have earlier braking with a car that maybe has a little less downforce on it. But maybe he's figured out how to be both fast and deep on the binders here today as they come out of La Source. It looks like Haycox coming back just a little bit, but he's farther back than what we witnessed last time through. Let's see what Radion offers him up. Once he gets over the crest, he'll feel a little bit of it as they go by Krajcik, who just came from repairs on pit lane. And he's gaining very quickly. Hugh Haycox could have another shot at things, but no, it's not to be.
Yeah, it was a little bit too far back. If he had been like just about 2/10 ahead, he probably would have had an opportunity. But unfortunately, not that time around, so he's going to have to try and find another way around or wait another lap. But remember, Joe, this is an hour-long race. we're not even halfway yet.
Let's head to Grau, back in the 7th position, which is going to become 8th position because it looks like Olsen has better speed than he does up the Kamel Straight, and the 14 manages to get up there.
Yeah, this is a basic pass right there through on the Kamel Straight for Laust Olsen. A good move on Grau as Laust continues to try and improve his position over the course of this race. Bad news for Nick Makanos. He has fallen 2.5 seconds back to Ben Lafter in second place. Ben Lafter, get this, Joe, 13 seconds back of Niels Kor, our leader in the GTOs.
Kor's running away with this thing. It's his to lose, but you cannot count on anything in the Kamel GT series because so much goes down when the traffic flies through. Interestingly, we've now hit a normal race distance, so from here on out should feel like it usually does, except for the fact that they've already been going for about 20 minutes.
And they're going to have to take a pit stop in the longest pit transit time on iRacing, being the Spa-Francorchamps endurance pits. So there is definitely a lot of time to be made and lost in the pits. It's such a tight corner, especially around La Source in the pits. We've seen a lot of drivers collect the inside wall and roll their cars before, so they're not devoid of danger when they hit pit lane.
Yeah, exactly. As we come back to Mosquera now, this is fighting with Campbell still, and the 21 is keeping within just a couple car lengths here of the 16. Doesn't get the exit he needs out of...
Oh! Hugh and Matthias side by side once again. Matthias Hobdahl having to hang on the outside once again. Hugh Haycox putting up a better fight this time around. But my goodness, Joe, Hugh was behind by a good couple of seconds. Now they got a battle between... Oh, it's contact! Contact between... that is... Andre Jateau and Matthias Hobdahl, our leader.
Looked like Hovdahl just went a little deeper than he anticipated. Oh, and he's got two wheels in the grass there, trying to deal with Ibora, trying to stay out of the way as well. Hovdahl will hold on to the lead, but how damaged is the nose of that car?
He was already a little slow on a straight line compared to Hugh Haycox, and if he has more damage, this could be really difficult for him to hang on to the lead. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that is the last thing that he wanted in this, not only to get caught up with the traffic, but to damage the nose and hurt his straight line speed potentially as they come on to Blanchimont. This is going to be the best first test that we see, and so far doesn't look too bad. I think he got away with a light touch, and Haycox is not gaining on him quickly.
Not as quickly as he could be, but he's still got that overspeed that he's had the entire race, and so that's keeping him really tight in behind. Fortunately for these guys, they've got another about half lap to go before they start to catch the Audis, who are starting to get spread out.
And you were talking about the distance between Core and Laughter. Well, Hugh Haycox and Suntez Galindo is up to something around 14 seconds already. So it's the haves and have-nots here today at Spa-Francorchamps, with the quick drivers making big distances between themselves and everyone else.
Let's see whether or not Hugh Haycox has the run on Hovdal, and the answer is yes. Hovdal even moving over to the left side. I think that he's a little concerned about that damage, but when Hugh gets into the clear air, you can see just how much it stops him. Just hitting that wall of air keeps him from going that much faster than Hovdal. So Hovdal, though, tucks in behind Hugh Haycox as Hugh goes streaming by at the exit of Radion.
All right, so now he gets to be the trailing car for the first time since early on in this race. We'll see how he deals with that one. Checking back in real quick on our GTOs, and really not a whole lot going on at the front there, although Mukanos and Miller are sharing a bit of track quite closely. In fact, I think Miller might have a pass on Mukanos. He just poked his nose a little bit. There we see it on screen now, and the 10 is under threat. Reed getting it all the way out to the edge of the curbing through Blanchimont and trying to go around the outside, losing control, and they're going to come together. Miller keeps it from spinning around, and so does Mukanos, but that got scary quick.
Fortunately, neither of them have a lot of damage from that, but I'm sure Nick Mukanos is absolutely beside himself, because what could possibly happen? How does that happen? But Reed Miller actually does have some damage, right front damage on that machine. That's going to reduce his effectiveness on through the right-hand turns, because that right-hand wheel won't be driving as well.
And for Mukanos, this third place, if he can stay where he is, interestingly, would be his first points scored that wasn't a win in this season. He's had nothing but 25s to his name. And the two times that he didn't score when he showed up, he got zeros. So this would be a strange first for our points leader.
I don't think we've ever been able to say that about a points leader in a series. That
Ooh, we got to go to the GTP leaders, because Hovdal pulled a Hakkinen. Using the lap traffic, he has gotten ahead, and Hugh Haycox is going to try and come back at him as they get to the braking. He is through. This was brilliant stuff if we can get a replay.
Oh my goodness, Matthias Hovdal making a fantastic move around the outside of Hugh Haycox using that traffic. So let's see whether or not we can get a replay of this.
Checking to see if we can get that spooled up. This is just on the top of Radillion. So yeah, here we're going to see it. You can see he's trailing him. There's the GTO at just the wrong spot. Has to check up. Yeah, is right.
Oh my goodness. That was commitment from Hovdal. He almost hit the inside wall there.
Yeah, he had to take the long way around for sure, but it got him the spot. Okay then. And, well, he's pulling away from Hugh Haycox now.
Well, you say that, but it's traffic. He just got held up by Ian Haycox. Interestingly enough, the two are related, Hugh and Ian, father and son. But Matthias Hovdal got significantly held up by Ian Haycox, so now that's allowed Hugh Haycox to get back in. Now here we go again with more hit lap traffic causing these GTP leaders trouble. Neither of them can get away from the traffic.
That was Hideki Koivisto, who did a good job keeping calm in that situation. And now back through. Hugh Haycox is your leader, but he spins the tires, getting on the gas. There goes Hovdal once again. Is that 3 passes within the frame of 1 lap that we just witnessed?
I mean, 1 lap's very long around here, but yes, we don't see that often. But oh my goodness, close stuff between the two drivers. But Hugh tucked in behind Matthias again. We know the overspeed he has in the draft. Let's see whether or not he can use it this time up the Kamel Straight.
Here we go again. This is where it kicked off last time. Are we going to get the 4th within a single lap? Just about here. And Hugh Haycox switching the lead around once again. It's almost become a Talladega race out here, but look at this. That's Scurry and Hamill-Smith in front of them.
Here we go with Scurry and Hamill-Smith battling for position and taking their lines. Both Hugh and Hovdal able to sneak their way through very cleanly on these two drivers. Not going to interrupt either battle, so good driving from everybody there. It's interesting because Hovdal's incident with Hideki that we saw, that's exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the race today with Blanchimont. Hideki has to turn in. There's nowhere else he can go. These Audis have no downforce to speak of whatsoever, and they have no way of being able to make that corner if they don't take the normal racing line. So he couldn't adjust his line to benefit Hovdal if he wanted to. But look at this, getting held up once again by Ben Laughter, our second place driver in the GTOs. Hughes going to be able to get by. Can Hovdal before the turn in? Yes, Ben Laughter decides to take the inside line and let Hovdal go by.
Did compromise Matthias a little bit there. So they fly out of Stavelo up towards Blanchimont once again. Doesn't look like he's quite close enough to use that slipstream. And they've got Marty Novak, the next one up ahead. And a few more. I see Niels Kor, our leader in the GTOs, also waiting to be lapped for the second time. Out of the bus stop chicane. This time by, it's going to be Hugh Haycox leading over Matthias Hovdal by about half a second.
And Ben Laughter's in the pits. Our first pit taker from the lead of one of our classes, Ben Laughter, tucks into the pits with 31:30 to go.
Just about at the halfway mark, so he's going to try and break it up evenly, it seems, but I'm not seeing anybody behind him into the lane, so this looks like he might be our only taker on this lap. More traffic for Hugh Haycox going on by, with Novak staying off far to the right, and Hovdal does close in slightly in that exchange.
And they're about to approach Niels Kor just a couple of seconds ahead. Niels just diving into Brussels right now. So these two drivers, it's going to be the leader passing the leader. Once again, this will be the second time of asking for these drivers. So the pit stops will start to happen now. I'll be keeping my eyes on who's diving in.
Same here, and also I'm looking a little bit back. I know we've been covering these top two a whole lot, but we have had some good battles in the mid-pack. Oh,
here we go once again. That's Niels Kor that they're going by, and Niels just stays off the racing line to let these two guys go by because he could see that that gap was closing, didn't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and he's just about got a car length in front of him. Oh, we had an accident with Campbell and Olsen. This is the 14 car and the 21 into No Name. They were coming up on traffic, and I think this was misread by Campbell. Laust Olsen checking up for the cars in front, and unfortunately, you can see the damage that resulted.
So we're taking a look at the replay to see what happened to these two drivers. Wow, that was a big clump of cars that they're dealing with. So Laust Olsen, just a little bit of overspeed from behind. And Laust Olsen just gets spun around, and you can see them just both just sitting there waiting. I think that was just an issue of the traffic causing a little bit more of an overspeed than the car behind Laust was expecting.
Yeah. It's so hard, especially, we haven't talked about it in a while on the channel. The rear wings of these things just block the view. If we get an onboard, actually, let's see right here behind the 7. That's Aguilar, I think, chasing him.
And Mascara's had a big issue just about, about 15-30 seconds ago.
Ooh.
And this was with two GTOs. This was Hideki Koivisto and Ian Haycox.
And it was in Blanchimont, which you never have small accidents there.
Oh, we're having a wreck right now that almost wrecks out our GTO leader.
Is his car okay? It looks like he's still dealing with that problem.
He parked it, essentially, to avoid the 31.
Oof. Now, what happened to the 31 here? This is Guillotero.
Oh, he gets hit. He got clipped from behind, and look at Nils just put the binders on. What an evasive move there from Niels Kor.
I said it earlier, this race is not over until they get that checkered flag. And those two fighting GTPs, unfortunately, didn't
look at
judge.
This. He just slams on the binders. He knows that he's kind of come back across. Endurance racing, you just got to survive, and he knows in order to win this race, he just has to survive, puts on the binders, and avoids an incident.
Wow. Great heads up. Also, I want to give credit to Guillotero for locking the brakes up as well to try and make his car as predictable as possible, something the drivers always urge when you get into an accident. And I think that certainly helped. Meanwhile, Hugh Haycox is leading. Hovdal has still retained this gap. Ooh, and compromised exit from Hugh there, trying to go by Mark Olay. He's going to be able to slide past him real quickly.
So as we're watching these drivers go up, oh boy, this is interesting. Matthias Hovdal with a major overspeed on Hugh Haycox. It's going to be held up. Hugh Haycox majorly held up. Both of them held up by Stephen Leslie, who's just had an incident with Andre Juteau a couple laps ago. But oh my goodness, that was close stuff between the two of them. But as this sorts out, I just want to report back on who's been in the pits. Reed Miller has also come into the pits after Ben Laughter. Marty Ollie has also been in the pits as well. Ben Laughter, even though he came in early, he did a 16-second stop compared to Reed and Ben's 13-second stops. So that's definitely interesting developments for them. And we're just now starting to see the first of our GTPs coming in for regular service with Austin William Campbell.
And I'm seeing that Isaac Snyder's been in. Did we have something happen to Scurry, the Italian in pit lane? Oh yeah, he got involved in a wreck in the bus stop, which had multiple cars involved actually. It starts with, it looks like Phillips getting hit by Jamie Hamill-Smith. Here we go.
Here we go, approaching the bus stop, and everyone's just trying to get their brakes down, and oh wow. Jamie Hamill-Smith just did not get on the binders quite quick enough, and that's some major damage for Franco that puts him into pits right now.
And I think with them being so close to pit lane, a lot of them elected to just duck on in while they had the opportunity. Down to under 26 minutes left to go. One more angle on this wreck.
Oh.
Yeah. I was going to say Isaac Snyder, I think our highest driver to have pitted. No, it looks like Campbell maybe at this point. Austin Campbell.
Oh, and Hovdal's in.
Ah, there we go. And that'll make him the highest bidder pretty soon. Hugh Haycox carries on. Matthias maybe trying to play some strategy games here, get himself away from Hugh if he thinks he can run faster on his own.
I think both Hugh and Matthias are going to think that they can run faster than the other in clear air, and they might actually be right, because battling with one another does slow you down significantly. So a lot of drivers have yet to take pit stops. Here we see some more action going on up ahead. That's Xavier Bora trying to navigate his way through some of the GTPs. There we see drivers coming out of the pits right now.
Trying to double check here. I want to say that Isaac Snyder might be in a very good position as we watch Trangerade's fight. This is for the third spot. Sintez Galindo just in front of him. Doug Cloud behind them is a lap down, so that is not part of this.
So a minute later, Hovdal hits his pit box, and now he's going to be in there for about 30 seconds. This is the shortest time we've seen. It doesn't appear that they're taking tires and fuel at the same time, but 20 seconds for Hovdal. He's pulling out of the pits now, getting up to speed, and he's not going to have any troubles behind with our other drivers who have taken pit stops. So Hovdal definitely the fastest driver who has taken a pit stop so far.
Indeed. And I think I estimated wrong. Snyder was well far behind here on Matthias Hovdal. So Isaac, who you see coming down into the lane, he's one of our onboards, as we mentioned today. And he's been bringing us a view here on the channel for a couple weeks now as we come across the track and into the braking zone. He's going to be promoted up into, I think, 8th this time by, because I think Aguilar just came into pit lane and he was 9th when he crossed it.
And Hugh Haycox hits the pit lane.
Ah, so Hugh's paying attention. He's going to try and respond.
All right, so Matthias Hovdal is 122 in the lane with a 20-second pit stop. Let's see whether Hugh can beat that either by being more efficient in the lane or by getting a better pit stop time. We'll find out.
You can just see how long it takes to try and get to your pit stall, especially if you're on the lower half.
Oh, and Hugh actually hit the outside wall coming into the pit lane, so he has rear wing damage now.
Ooh. So Sintez Galindo continues on. Ove Trangrade keeps going. Hovdal is entering the bus stop chicane right now. Hugh Haycox just hits his stall. Takes tires.
Yeah, look at that rear wing. So it will get a little bit of repair when he takes fuel.
There's the comparison to Hovdal, 82 seconds.
Hovdal just entering La Source now.
Some of the bodywork popping back into place.
19.3 seconds. 1 second faster on the pit stop. 3 seconds faster on pit lane for Hugh Haycox.
Wow. Hovdal is nowhere to be seen. And Matthias is just coming over Radion right now.
It'll be about a gap of 2 or 3 seconds between these drivers at most.
Wow. Wow.
It's going to
not expect that.
It's going to come down to about 1.5 seconds, which we know that Hovdal can close. So this will be interesting to see. It's going to be all up to the traffic again, Joe.
Sounded like Ian Haycox having yet more problems.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he really did. That was with Antti Lepisto of all people. I guess he is a tad rusty, as you mentioned.
Well, this is an interesting incident, actually, if we could go take a look at it. It's just coming out of La Source, and
almost looked like Lepisto didn't know he was there. Yeah,
and it almost looks like, and Ian comes back. So here we go. We're going to watch coming in here. Lepisto, a very late dive into La Source, leaving Ian pretty frustrated, and Ian actually comes back across just a little bit and hits him. Now, that being said, that's probably not an intentional incident, because it's really easy to overcook the wheel turn coming out of La Source. So my guess is that that wasn't intentional, but I'm pretty sure Ian's not going to be too disappointed about the outcome.
True. And I will say, I think the natural racing line takes you over a kind of cutting and straight lining off to the right side of the track.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, it makes sense that he would try and go that direction. I'm with you. We've watched Ian for many years. He's not the type to try and intentionally wreck somebody. Meanwhile, coming up to Juteau, this is I think the 44 that we've got on screen. Oh, excuse me. This is Antti Lepisto, which just involved that incident. Oh, look at Hovdal, though. Fastest lap of the race that time.
And cutting the gap by 1.2 seconds. Matthias Hovdal tucked in by 0.8 behind Mark Torres Exposito at this time. And he's going to get held up here. Oh, my goodness. That's one way to get around.
Yeah, Esposito, I don't think he has pitted yet. So, as looks like we've had more problems towards the back of the field. Don't need to go to it, but I think Juteau had another incident. And we're watching Hovdal on our screen. Looks like as the race carries on, all he needs is Trangrade, Sintez Galindo, and Exposito to get out of the way. Well, he's already passed Exposito, rather. 20 minutes left on the clock. We should be seeing most of our drivers start to come in the next couple laps.
Absolutely. So, Heitor Sintez Galindo dives into the pits, and we've had another spinner.
Oh, and that's Exposito. He is, I don't think he hit anything. Did something hit him, though? Double checking on that. And no, he just was offline down through Puhan. He did catch the inside wall. Might have a little bit of damage, unfortunately, on the 46 after that one.
So the gap between Matthias Hovdal and Hugh Haycox still at about 2.5 seconds between those two drivers. So Hugh Haycox holding on to the lead that he gained over the course of that pit lane, the pit exchange. And Heitor Sintez Galindo into the pits right now. So Ove Trangrade still one of our few drivers who has yet to pit. So that's, oh, we've had a major wreck at the top of Lacombe, a huge incident. This was Nahul Diaz Cavaglila and Austin Campbell, Doug Cloud, tons of drivers. Oh my goodness, almost another wreck.
This starts, it looks like, between Diaz, the 23, and Suarez, the 13. And unfortunately, I think Nahuel was kind of parked right on the racing line, and that's what wound up involving these others here.
So here they come entering this incident, and there's just a GTO stopped in the middle of the track. I'm pretty sure he was looking at his rearview mirror to see where the 37 was, and just didn't see the GTO parked in the center of the track there. And he had been there for quite a while. I wonder why he didn't tow.
I'm not sure. Yeah, and Caviglia is in. Now he has towed after that second hit. I think here's the initial incident.
Yep, here it comes. A little bit of contact there. Then he just gets stopped in the middle of the track and just does not move. Oh, looks like there's a little bit of road rage there.
Well, yeah, he had to get turned around. Wonder if it got stuck in neutral a little. Regardless, it sent the 37 and his friend off into the tires. And these last 18 minutes are seeing fewer and fewer cars looking like they'll make it to the checkered flag.
And if we're talking about cars who have had issues, we have had 11 DNFs so far. So that is that's a decent chunk of our field, about a fifth of the field that's not finishing this race.
Still waiting on Trangrade to pit in. He is our temporary leader, but he'll need to give this one back. Sintes Galindo looks like he finally had a stop, so Haycock's now up to second. Hovdal still chasing him. Haycock's, by the way, actually has responded 59.5s the last 2 laps. Hovdal the same the previous 2, and then this last one looks like Hovdal had some issues, a 2 flat 6. That might be due to traffic, I'm going to guess, as we watch Hugh Haycock's come down the Kamel straight. Niels Core, by the way, still our leader down in the GTOs. Mukanos is, gosh, it's nearly a quarter of a lap behind.
It's one of the more impressive gaps that we have seen, to be honest with you. Yeah, Niels Core just now exiting Blanchimont, as we're seeing right there. Nick Mukanos just now exiting Stavilo, so an entire straightaway away for Nick Mukanos, but currently in second place. Now, granted, he has yet to pit. That's an important distinction because it looks like Reed Miller has pit, and he is only about 55 seconds behind, and it's at least a minute 12 through the pit lane.
Down into the braking through Puhan here for Reed Miller. Longtime veteran of this series in that number 6 machine. Not looking at a podium here today, it seems, but still a decent finish on the cards. These GTOs tend to go a little bit longer when it comes to pace, when it comes to fuel, and it looks like Ove Trangrade finally going to give up the ghost, so we'll get Haycock's through officially into the lead. We should see the GTOs last a little longer and probably pit in as late as potentially 8 minutes left to go, maybe even farther, depending. We'll watch and find out. And across the line, Trangrade just out of La Source on the inside of that wall currently. Hugh Haycock's now taking the fastest lap back from Hovdal.
And Hugh takes the lead as well as Ove Trangrade in the pits. So Hugh regains the lead of the race, now about 5 seconds ahead of Hovdal.
So we come back to the 17 car. This is for 12th position. And Laust Olsen involved in this one, trying to chase down Isaac Snyder. Coming through Rivage. Gabbiani just in front of them is also for a spot. So I'm sure Isaac not really wanting to have to play the rear guard here. See if he can catch up to Gianluca.
All right, Joe, we are into the final 14 minutes of this race. And at this point, I'm starting to think about incident points. Because we've seen a lot of drivers go off. We've seen a lot of drivers take to the runoffs to make passes or to avoid incidents. And I'm sure a lot of them are starting to sweat a little bit about that incident cap, because that drive-through penalty is not one that you want to serve if you want to try and make your race competitive, especially with the transit down the lane being anywhere between 113 to 120 seconds. That's a lot to worry about.
Yeah, 1 hour around Spa in normal conditions would probably be a bit of a challenge, just trying to get by Nick Mukanos. That was Doug Cloud there that we saw, who goes deep. And unfortunately, that's going to open things up for Gabbiani, who goes the long way around. Gabbiani going to get himself up into 11th with that move.
And Nick Mukanos says, nope, and exits stage right to go to the pits, because he didn't want to get involved in any of that. Oh, Laust Olsen spins it, going into Lesource. I think he just got a little bit caught up by Doug Cloud being slow. Torres Exposito almost runs into the back of him, but Laust now going.
Gets it kick-started, almost looked like he stalled it for a second with how slowly the car got rolling. And looks like John Keefe might be able to take over the position as well, as Keefe is the last driver on the lead.
Isaac Snyder just had an incident too, Joe. Up at the top of Radion, he's now going very slow.
What has happened to Snyder? You can see the damage on his machine.
Yeah, just as we were focusing on Laust Olsen, he went up the hill and ran into a traffic jam.
Ooh, yeah, and this was a big hit. Here we're going to see on the replay. He, unfortunately, this was
a different incident. This is John Keefe going deep into Lacombe and coming back across the track and just absolutely clobbering Laust Olsen.
And it was Gabbiani, interesting.
And here's Isaac's incident.
Yeah, that's Gabbiani. They just made contact with right there. Hits both the car and the wall, so both sides get banged up. And it looks to me like he is pretty off the pace after that.
Yeah, Isaac's going to need the pits for sure. I don't think he can make it all the way to the end of the race. Look at the damage. The right side just absolutely torn open. Nick Mukanos has just exited the pits. He's going to come out about 5 seconds behind Reed Miller for second position. And with 11 minutes to go, that's a big ask for him to try and get back up there.
Yeah, I think unless there's some major problems, that he's not going to be catching him. And this is a shame for Nick Snyder, because he's already done with his pit stops and was able to go to the finish. Expect him to duck in here as he gets lapped by Hugh Haycox. There's the pit entry off to the right-hand side, and as we expected, he takes it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else he could do. There's just too much damage. Probably got a meatball flag for him, to be honest. That's the most damage I've seen driving that quickly around here in a GTP in quite a while. But taking a look again at Hugh Haycox, he's lost some time, Joe. Matthijs Hovdal, 3 seconds behind now.
Well, I think that Haycox has met his match. Granted, Hovdal needs to try and beat him. He came in, remember, in the GTOs recently, showed that he could take a win down there back at Summit Point. But now that he's come back to these GTOs, he's discovering just how tough the competition can be. There's the lap comparison between them. 2 seconds difference on lap 24.
Yeah, it's going to come down to whoever can navigate the traffic well, and Hugh Haycox has got some traffic to deal with up ahead. First is Mika Tupel at a GTO, but then he's got GTPs to pass, and the GTPs aren't quite used to being lapped around any circuit, much less here, so that's definitely going to be interesting. We'll see how many of them are actually looking in their rearview mirror.
And as you can see, 9 minutes left on the clock, with the laps taking 2 minutes just to cycle around. I wonder if we've only got about 4 to 5 laps left. Hugh Haycox down through Fanyes and into Stavelo has been wanting to get himself some clear air, some comfort on the track, and I think he's finally found it here in the dying moments.
Well, I don't know how clear it's going to be. He's catching up to Mark Torres, Exposito, and John Cope, both of whom have had some pretty epic races so far, and they're both very tight together coming into the final corner here, the bus stop chicane. He's going to catch him at just the wrong time, Joe.
It's always harder to try and pass those within your class. Yeah, this is checking him up big time. The 40 tries to stay out of the way. Really compromised his exit.
So that's going to be another couple of tenths to Hovdal, but he's got to pass him as well. Fortunately, he might be catching them going up over Jean Radion, and if he could do so just as they enter the Kemmel Straight, as John Cope actually is going to pull over for Hovdal, so benefit there. And Hugh Haycox getting held up behind Exposito now.
Hugh Haycock's been having a heck of a time with the traffic here today. It doesn't matter which class. Laus Olsen in front of them as well as he splits it 3 wide briefly. And he's going to be able to get by both. Esposito going to be able to go past Laus Olsen, who is now a lap down because of his earlier problems into this very corner.
Yeah, and Laust actually has been a victim of having a GTP exiting the pits, coming across the lane as he's trying to make a 3-wide middle pass. He's been a victim of that in the past, so that's why you saw him hit the brakes going up the hill. He was like, oh goodness, I don't want to do that to Hugh. So he absolutely made the right move, stay over to the right side, letting Hugh go by in that instant.
Hugh Haycock has notched up the wins quite a bit this season.
Oh boy! You see that in the background? That was Hovdal absolutely clobbering the curve on the exit of Pouin. That might be floor damage for Hovdal.
Oof. Let's take a look at the car. Sometimes you can spot a little bit of a crinkle.
Yeah, his nose is bent, Joe.
Uh-oh.
Now that might have been from the earlier incident that we saw him have, but he's definitely still snaking his way through, just like he was. But that was a scary moment for Hovdal for sure.
Looks like he could have been a little down. It was 181 for Hugh Haycock into Blanchimont. Hovdal only 179. If he only loses 2 miles an hour, that will suck. But it's better than him being about 5 to 10, as he could easily lose a position, even with this few of laps back left. So the 3 around La Source again, and we're down to 6 minutes left to go. And I'm starting to wonder if Laughter could wind up catching Mukanos here, because the battle for third in the GTOs doesn't look too far separated. There is Mukanos in the 10, still set to take his first points that aren't a victory this season.
And Laughter would love passing Mukanos, getting a little bit more points on our current points leader. This would give him a great opportunity. And also, Nils Kor really enjoying his lead of this race. This will really help him in the points as well. Any sort of benefit that any of these drivers in the top 5 can have over our points leader, Nick Mukanos, is definitely going to be a welcome one.
Yeah, 4 straight podiums for the last 4 rounds that Laughter has shown up for. He's going to try and carry on that streak. 3 of them were second places, the first 3 in a row, actually. He liked to joke about it, calling himself the bridesmaid. And, well, this could be another third. Could he become a third wheel, maybe, if he starts another trend, as he lets another of our GTPs on by. That was simply a Rebus going through.
Yeah, definitely interesting for sure. I can let you know that Hugh Haycock has just gotten into some very interesting traffic. Gianluca Gabbiani does not want to let him by.
And now he is through by the time they hit Blanchimont. Oh, but I was going to say that was a bad spot for Abora to be in. Not a wrong place that he had put his car, just hard to predict which line he's going to take because of the speed difference into Blanchimont. Thankfully, Haycock continues on, crosses the line with 4.5 minutes left to go. That is going to be 3 laps left.
Yeah, and Hovdal got held up behind Abora, who misshifted through the entirety of the chicane. He lost a good second behind Abora through the bus stop chicane there. Now he's got to find his way by Gabbiani, who's going to let him go through.
And he's coming up to that battle I was taking a look at earlier between Laughter and Mukanos. So that's the sort of thing that Laughter is going to be hoping for, that maybe it could compromise Mukanos in some of these corners. There you see him in the yellow and black machine now. Just behind them, oh, as there was a car off track briefly, that was a Rebus. Not sure what caused that into Lacombe.
Yeah, Rebus has taken the shortcut across Lacombe a couple of times this race. He's having a lot of trouble getting the front end of that car to behave.
It's probably a tough one to try and set the car up for. You got to be fast in a straight line, and you got to be really glued to the track through the corners. So how do you play it? Do you go for downforce? Do you not go for downforce? Do you compromise? And I mean, search me for those sort of answers, because that's why I was never one to set up cars all that often on my own. Hovdal still within what looks to be just a few seconds of Haycox, but can't get within touching distance.
Yeah, he's getting really held up by traffic, and Haycox has been able to find his way through just a couple of other opportunities that have given him a little bit of a gap, which is the reverse of what we saw at the beginning of this race with Hugh Haycox being the one who got held up. So as Hovdal streaks his way past Reed Miller, oh boy, that's a little bit of a late braking there from Carlos Fonseca, who was tucked in behind Hugh Haycox going into the bus stop chicane.
So 2 to go now as he crosses the line. Sintez Galindo way back there, 43 seconds behind the leader I'm seeing last time across the line. Just absolutely trouncing everybody. And Niels Kor doing a bit of the same from the lead. Just making sure that no one can catch him. There you see him on screen right now. It's Reed Miller who's chasing, but it's a big gap behind. Miller's just coming onto the Kamel Straight as Kor is coming through Rivage.
Yeah, that's a huge gap. Now, granted, it's not the 40 seconds that it was earlier, and that most of that was because of Niels having to do that literal stop on track on the Kamel Straight to avoid an incident. But that's the kind of buffer that he allowed himself by being in that situation.
That's a good point. The race is a complete set, and you need all the skill set to try and put yourself where you need to be at the right time. Just going to try and finish this one out, collect the points, know that the championship is still up for grabs, especially in the GTOs with how tight the points are there.
I got to report that Gianluca Gabbiani actually just served a drive-through penalty for incidents, so some of these drivers definitely getting close as we're approaching the final laps of this race. And actually, it's going to be the final lap for both drivers next time by, because Hugh Haycox is about to make his way past Niels Kor.
Yeah, I was just about to say, white flag is getting prepared by Barney, and Hugh Haycox comes up into the bus stop around the left-hander, and he will see that white flag waved at him up ahead. Chuteau stays off to the right-hand side as Haycox puts another lap on him. One last one to go, with a gap this time across the line of about 3.5 seconds. Niels Kor up to, looks like 24 seconds over Reed Miller.
And with this white flag lap, we have 13 drivers who have not finished this race as of this moment. Hopefully we don't get any more, but that's a significant portion of the field as we see Hovdal 5 seconds behind now, coming just onto the Kamel Straight.
So this will be win number 6 for Hugh if he brings this home from here. And he came in the points lead. Fabian Newbluth not able to attend, will have to use up one of his drop weeks for that one. Sintez Galindo only good enough for 3rd, which is where he sits in the points as well. Looking like Ove Trangrade not having too bad of a day. He's currently 4th in the points and on track, actually. So there you see him coming up over Radion.
Yeah, great stuff from all these drivers for sure, as we take a look once again at Hugh Haycox making his way through the Fagnes campus for the final times through Stavlo. This legendary track has put on a real show today, especially with a 52-car field. It's been chaos at times. It's been great racing at other times, and we've seen plenty of incidents at Lacombe and Malmedy, as we tend to see. Not too many at Eau Rouge and Radion this time around. Seems like the drivers have been very respectful, but Hugh Haycox has commanded it all.
And he is going to take a commanding win as well here at Spa-Francorchamps for round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT Series. Behind him, Niels Kor comes around Blanchimont. And Niels Kor, I think this is win number 2 for him. I'll have to double check the stats. Regardless, nobody was even close to him once he was able to break that slipstream, and he never looked back. The 4 takes the win here in Belgium.
Ben Laughter right on the heels of Nick McConos, actually. Right now, as they're going through Blanchimont for the final time, this is very close. Is Nick down on fuel? He might be. He's very slow. Ben Laughter's going to look around the outside going into the bus stop chicane. He's got a nose ahead. Nick sends it deep. Ben can't cover him off. Nick McConnell, can he power out of the corner? It's going to be close, but it's going to be Nick McConnell who hangs on to third.
So close for Ben Laughter to keep up his podium streak, but he was one spot shy and off by a few tenths of a second. Trying to see if we have any more battles coming down to the line after that one. And it looks like they're all a bit spread out here in today's endurance race. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. Round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT Series saw Hugh Haycox take the win by about 4.5 seconds over Matthias Hovdal, but that really was much closer for most of today's Enduro. It was Heitor Sintes Galindo who was well back 50 seconds up to the lead for that third place. Ove Trangrade P4 behind them was followed by Antti Lepisto, who we didn't get to cover all that much at the end, but he got involved in a few incidents. Joseph Mudrack, a quiet 10-place gain from 16th to 6th, and Aguilar will start from 7th with Krejcik P8, Grout 9th, the last one on the lead lap, and then his Exposito a lap down there in 10th. Mosquera was 11th, Reich Ruder in 12th, and Doug Cloud in 13th. Kyle Graham and Gabbiani both getting involved in incidents during the race, 14th and 15th, and 2 laps down for Fonseca. Laust Olsen getting back out on the track after his issues in 17th. Arribas, Keith Snyder, and Leslie were the last of our GTPs to finish.
Then we have our GTOs with Niels Kor taking a commanding win from pole to the victory. Fantastic drive from him. Reed Miller comes home in second, having held off Nick McConos, who charged his way from 9th on the grid up to 3rd position. Ben Laughter coming home right behind Nick after Nick had issues on the final lap. Coming home in the 4th position is Ben. Martioli coming home in 5th place over Neshin Cameron. A great race from Neshin coming home in the 6th spot. Mark Ole is going to finish in 7th with Franco Scurry 8th. Mika Tupel in 9th. Ian Haycox coming home in the 10th position after having a throughput on the final lap. Oh, heartbreaking for him. Marty Novak coming home in 11th with Hideki Koivisto in 12th. Xavier Bora having a storied race coming home in 13th with Jamie Hamill-Smith down in 14th. Not a good day for the points for him. Then Andre Decho was our final Audi driver who finished the race down in 15th position.
From there on, it's down to DNFs, and we've got our winner from the GTOs ready to talk to us, Niels Kor, in the number 4 machine. Niels, it looked like to us once you broke the draft, it was pretty straightforward, but can you ever really call a Kamel GT race straightforward?
I'm just really happy how it went in the end. It was quite important to break the draft, but yeah. After that, it was quite easy. I was just managing the gap. I was taking it very careful with the GTPs. I mean, don't know if you saw it, but some of them tried to take me out anyways, but I managed to avoid everything.
We saw you having to almost come to a complete halt on the Kamel Straight that one time. That had to have been scary. I mean, how soon were you off the throttle when you saw that stuff unfolding in front of you?
Well, I basically instantly lifted when I saw him just wiggle a bit. I knew he was going to lose it, so I just instantly started braking. I didn't want to risk anything. I mean, I had already had like a 15-second gap behind, so no point going full throttle into it.
Makes sense to me. And man, what instinct there. Congratulations on the win. When we head off to the Red Bull Ring, are you looking forward to a little bit of a shorter track?
I usually prefer the longer tracks like Spa. It's really one of my favorite tracks. But yeah, I didn't drive the car on Red Bull yet, but yeah, we will see how it goes.
Anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Yeah, as always, I would like to thank my team. They are really good.
Great stuff there from the number 4 as Niels Core wins in the GTOs. Up in the GTPs, Adam has caught up with that victor. That is Hugh Haycox.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugh Haycock's taking home an amazing victory today after a hard-fought battle with Matthias Hobdahl. Hugh, that battle between yourself and Matthias was stuff of legend today, swapping it 3 times in the space of 1 lap here around Spa. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it was most fun I've had, I think, in this season in Kamel. So yeah, definitely a great race.
Absolutely. And I mean, it seemed like you had a decent amount of overspeed on Matthias when you were in the draft of him. Breaking out into the free air, it seemed like it was still a little faster. How trimmed out were you for this race today?
Not as much as some people I expect. I was running 3 wing for anyone that's interested. But yeah, it just seemed to have just that tiny bit, probably a bit less rake than Matthias maybe, but you know, it was very close on top speed, I think.
Absolutely, and very close from the 2 of you guys on track as well. How surprised were you with that outside defense that Matthias made through Lacombe about on lap 6 or 7?
I knew the best place to defend Lacombe is on the outside. You can brake so much later because you don't have to worry about hitting the apex. So we've been actually battling to get the outside into Lacombe often. But so yeah, I was expecting it, but he drove great. Let's be honest. I think I only got a couple seconds in the pit stop and then ran away.
Well, next week we head up to the Red Bull Ring, which we've only had on this service for a couple of seasons, and one that the Kamel GT series hasn't driven that much. What are your thoughts heading into that round?
Should be fun. Very fast. Lots of slow corners. Hopefully it's not as ice skatey as Spa, but it should be fun.
Well, Hugh, is there anyone you want to thank for your win today? It was a great race to watch.
Yeah, of course, you guys for putting on a great show, the other drivers for racing clean, and Debbie, I'd like to thank for watching every week.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Hugh, and we look forward to seeing you. At next week's race.
Thank you, you too.
That was Hugh Haycox, and then next up we're going to talk to Matthias Hobdahl, who finished in the 2nd position in the GTPs.
Indeed, he was chasing all race long. And Matthias, I don't know if it was the pit stop itself or traffic or what, but what cost you in the end in that pit stop sequence that put you too far away from Hugh?
Yeah, I think basically his execution was better on the pit entry and pit exit. And I also lost around a second in the stop itself, so I think maybe he was a bit more fuel efficient. Seemed like he was running less downforce and maybe managed to save some fuel behind me. But yeah, I kind of lost touch with him after that, so I think that was kind of the crucial moment in the race.
Now, we've seen you back in the GTOs as well, but you come back to kind of the traditional GTPs for you. Are you going to be here for the remaining 2 races? And if so, which car?
I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. I'm kind of just going on a week-by-week basis, so yeah, I can't really promise anything. But yeah, what is the track next week, actually?
Red Bull Ring.
Oh, yeah, well, that sounds like a Nissan track to me. So yeah, if I do it, I'll probably do it in the Nissan.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Again, congratulations. Anybody you want to thank for the 3rd place today?
Yeah, I want to thank Hugh for a great battle. It's really one of the best battles I've had in a long time in Kamel, so I can live with not winning this race. I still enjoyed it a lot. So thanks to him for that, and congrats as well, obviously, on the win.
That was our second place finisher, not third, excuse me, Matthias Hovdal on the podium here. And I believe Adam has caught up with our next driver, which is Ben Laughter.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Laughter coming home in the 4th position, so close to passing Nick Mikanos on the final turn of the last lap. Talk to me about that. Were you surprised to see Nick coming back to you that quickly?
Yeah, there was that hornet's nest worth of Nissans coming through to him at the last second there. What I didn't know is that he had a slowdown that he was trying to serve at the end there too. So I almost got him, but he held me off.
Yeah, unfortunately, that breaks your streak of top three finishes. But that being said, I mean, it was an intense race from start to finish around here, and definitely not without a little bit of scares here and there. Talk to me about your race today.
Yeah, qualified pretty well. I think I started 5th or something like that. Got into a good scrap with Andre and Reed and Ian early on, and had a good time there. But all the while, the mythical Nils was just running off. Right when the traffic came around, it was just. The closing rates at corner exit around Pouin, around Blanchimont, like they're not there, and then they are there suddenly. The relative's almost useless, and so you've just got to be super hyper aware and not get murdered. So that's job number 1 around here, and I almost got murdered a few times, but good fun race. Good fun race. I did not beat Nick, which was my primary thing today from a championship perspective, but good race.
Yeah, well, fantastic driving from you for sure, Ben, and we look forward to seeing you next week at the Red Bull Ring. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
It's Kamel, you guys, Dirty Torque, it's a really fun group of people to hang out with every Saturday. So just thanks everybody who makes this community happen.
Well, that was Ben Laughter finishing in the 4th position today in the GTOs, and Joe has caught up with Aitor Sintes Galindo, who came home in 3rd in the GTPs.
Yeah, the one moment that I want to talk to Aitor about, because unfortunately it looks like you didn't see a whole lot in front of you during the latter stages of the race. Early on, trying to lap those GTOs, looks like you had a bit of a hairy moment there.
Which one of them?
Well, we saw you get almost fully sideways coming through one of the chicanes, trying to go past some of them, and still managed to keep the car on. Adam made the comment that it's the Audi that's supposed to have the rally heritage, not the Nissan.
Oh, yeah, I just remember. Yes, I remember. It was in front of poor Reed. I'm sure he had a couple of words with me. Yeah. Yeah, it was a hairy moment. I think I had the brake bias towards the rear too much, and along with the fact that this track, today was a very difficult. It was very warm, the track, and it was very sketchy. And I had that moment in particular. But yeah, it was. One of many moments I had today. Unfortunately, it was the only very hairy moment. The rest was sort of smooth. It's the best result I could have, P3. And I'm pretty happy with the result.
Oh, glad to hear you're happy. It's back onto the podium. It's been a couple races since we've seen you. Is there anybody that you want to thank for that P3?
Well, my family, my teammates at Pura Racing. I'm pretty sure you guys will see our livery quite often, because there were three mates today, 4 in fact. And also you guys at GSRC, excellent commentary as well. I'm looking forward to see the replay today.
Oh, we look forward to seeing you out on track more as well. That was Aitor Sintes Galindo, who took a 3rd in the GTP class. But that's going to wrap us up. We want to give a big thank you to the Kamel GT community for bringing us on for another season of coverage, but also thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed here. And check out our merchandise store. It's at simracingmerch.com/GSRC, and there's a link in the description below, so it's easy to get to. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, the next race is going to be the Red Bull Ring, Saturday, November 27th at noon Eastern. And we have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you stick around in a few minutes, we go live with the Majors Team Endurance Challenge, and that is over at Circuit of the Americas here at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.